Hello, all you schmuns and Talanas out there, and welcome to Undeclared Bajor.
Oh, I was like, I don't remember what Schmuns and Talanas is. Okay, it took me a minute to remember what the heck you were talking about.
Well, this is Undeclared Bajor, the best Star Trek DS9 discussion podcast. My name is Fletcher. About to say hello is Data.
Word.
Today we're going to discuss Star Trek DS9 Season 7, Episode 12, The Emperor's New Cloak. Alternate title, Everywhere All It Romps.
Wow, that was tortured, I have to say.
Nah. This episode originally aired February 3rd, 1999. It was written by Ira Steven Behr and Hans Beimler, and directed by LeVar Burton. Yay.
Yep, his final episode of Deep Space Nine that he directed. Shocker.
Oh, wow. And Sarah Clofton is not in the episode. And the episode is dedicated to the memory of Jerome Bixby.
Yep, Jerome Bixby, best known for writing the first Mirror Universe episode, Mirror Mirror.
Ah, okay. Did he pass away shortly before this, or?
Yes, he died shortly before the airing of this episode.
Okay. They didn't just want to, commemorate him for creating the wonderful Mirror Universe?
I mean, for all we know, they did, and then he just coincidentally died.
It's like, in memory of Jerome Bixby, who was still alive, but, now he's dead, so I guess we can,
It's also LeVar Burton's 10th episode of Deep Space Nine he directed, so that's a nice number.
10th and final, okay.
And the one that he directed right before this? Resurrection, the previous Mirror Universe episode, so...
Oh, wow.
It means something, or it doesn't.
I gotta correct you there, though. I think you mean alternate universe episode.
No.
So we will be discussing spoilers up through this episode, but not after this episode. So it's safe to watch along with us if this is your first time watching Star Trek Deep Space Nine, but we don't care about other stuff, so we may spoil it. Books, TV shows, movies, anything.
Yep, I'm gonna spoil the ending of Star Trek The Next Generation right now.
Oh my gosh.
Picard did it. Honestly, All Good Things is kind of more of an everything everywhere all at once.
True. I'm gonna spoil who the next pope is. It's gonna be Pizza Balla.
Oh, do we know yet? I haven't been paying any attention.
No, they had black smoke today, so...
nobody pulled out the black pickled egg or whatever.
Exactly. Unless this conclave takes a really, really long time, I'm pretty sure the listeners are already going to know who the next pope is, so...
So you could spoil it for us.
Yeah, if you go back in time.
Somehow.
Or if we just lose interest and don't ever look up who the new pope is, which is possible.
Yeah, both good options. Yeah.
But, first things first, how would you rate the title, The Emperor's New Cloak?
So... It's definitely memorable. I feel like I know which episode you're talking about. 100%.
Mm-hmm.
I think it fits. I mean, there's not an emperor as such.
Yeah.
But maybe the regent is close enough. You got a regent. You also have the Grand Nagus. So somewhere in there, maybe you're like, yeah, emperor or whatever. And
if you called it the Regent's New Cloak, that would just be too far. People wouldn't know what you were talking about.
No one would get the reference. So in a way, I feel like it's fairly clever. You've taken, this classic tale, the Emperor's New Clothes, and you've got a cloaking device, and so you use cloak, which has the double meaning of it's a kind of clothing, but it's also the device that he's stealing. It would feel more clever to me if I thought that the story of the episode was in some way relating to the Emperor's New Clothes. I guess maybe he thinks the cloak makes him invincible, but then it turns out that through installing the cloak, Rom also sabotaged him, and it like
that's kind of a stretch.
Leaves him defenseless. But yeah, it is a little bit of a stretch. It's like the Emperor's New Cloak would seem clever, except for the fact that like the story of the Emperor's New Clothes isn't related to this in any way, as far as I can tell. So it's just like, I mean, you can make it fit. It's almost, it feels like it's missing something. It's like, oh, that's really clever, except that it's not. It sounded good, I guess.
Well, it's missing like a mirror pun.
Oh, that's true. I hadn't thought of that, but yeah.
Like it needs to be called like Through a Mirror Dumbly or something like that.
Through a Mirror Dumbly. I that would have been a hell of a title. Then again, hold on. Like the last one was called Resurrection. There's another one the first one was called Crossover. So they're not like all mirror puns.
I mean, Crossover at least has crossing over in it. I don't know.
Yeah, I just rewatched Crossover today in my journey of watching all Star Treks. So
okay, so it's another day at Quark's. Julian and Ezri hang out and enjoy a drink. Across the bar, Quark watches them, seething, while Odo just hangs out. Quark says, "Isn't it disgusting the way Bashir is undressing Ezri with his eyes and all those obscene hand gestures?"
You know Quark's also undressing her with his eyes, so...
Oh yeah, he's projecting here for sure. But Odo's like, "What are you talking about?" And then Quark suggests Odo arrest the Doctor for his obsceneness, but Odo does not seem inclined to do that.
Nah, he's got a girlfriend now. He doesn't hate people in love as much. If that's what's happening here. I don't think it's ever exactly clear if, like, Odo claims that they left holding hands, and I'm like, did you just say that to mess with Quark, or was that, like, a real thing?
He's trolling. He's getting... There's no reason for him to be here other than to troll Quark, so...
That seems to be why he's usually in Quark's, to be fair.
Yeah. But doesn't he realize she loves me? Pouts Quark. And Odo says very amusingly, "I don't think he does."
It is a good delivery.
Then Rom sprints into the bar with urgent news. Grand Nagus Zek is missing. He left a note with Moogie saying he'd be gone for 5 days, but now it's been 12 days. So that's 7 too many days.
Yeah, that's a week too long.
To be fair, if I left a note saying I'd be gone for 5 days and I was gone for 12 days, I'd want people to be concerned.
Like sooner than that, quite honestly.
Yeah. Quark says, he's probably taking a detour on Ryza, and Rom can't believe the Nagus would sneak in some extracurricular Jamaharan. But Quark says, hey, our mom is really old. He's got to get the Jamaharan where he can get it.
I mean, I believe that Zek would do that.
Oh, totally. But come on, stand up for your mom a little bit, Quark.
When has he ever done that before?
True. Once Quark has calmed Rom down, he looks over and sees that Ezri and Julian are gone. Odo says they both slipped out the back. And then I assume somebody slipped something in the back. If you know what I mean. But that night, Quark says his prayers to the Blessed Exchequer.
Yeah, the first time we've ever seen anything like this in Ferengi culture. We've heard about the Blessed Exchequer, but not like you kneel down and pray to him and slip money in. Where does that money go?
That's what I was wondering. Like, I mean, you can't just take the money back out. That would be
like cheating. That doesn't make any sense.
So you must have to take it to like a priest or something to dispose of, or I don't know.
Ferengi priests. Now that's there's an aspect that we never encounter. I want to see that.
Yep. But after the usual requests, Quark puts in some extra prayer bribes. One to get Dr. Bashir off the station for a while, and another to help move along negotiations with Ezri. And no sooner has he made this request than there's a ring at the door. It's Ezri!
He should have specified which Ezri.
True. It's Ezri, but something is different about her. For some reason, she kind of reminds me of Daisy from the end of Super Mario Bros.
Okay.
Also, I'm getting strong vibes of there is no Dana, only Zool.
No.
When she's standing there. But Ezri begins manhandling Quark, and then puts a knife to his throat, all of which Quark misinterprets to an absurd degree.
I mean, yeah, because she's given indications before that she's into sudden, rough roleplay.
Yeah, first he guesses that this is some kind of new cutting-edge therapy technique. Then when that's ruled out, he declares his eternal love for Ezri. So he's like, okay, it's not therapy. I just want you to know I love you. And then when he calls her Dax, Ezri says, I'm not Dax, leading Quark to immediately jump to a roleplay scenario. And he suggests they call each other Shmun and Talana from Vulcan Love Slave Volume 3.
Yeah, Volume 3. It's not like the original Vulcan Love Slave. This is down the line.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Vulcan Love Slave purist. I like the original.
What if number 3 has Sean Connery?
Yeah,
I don't see how that improves it in any way.
Good question. Good question. This is a question for the ages.
What's another one where there's a cool, like, sudden guest star, like, stunt casting for part 3? Sam Jackson in Die Hard 3. So maybe Sam Jackson shows up in Vulcan Love Slave 3.
Yeah. Although that was not stunt casting back then. That was like...
okay, fair.
That was one of Sam Jackson's, like, earliest roles. Or major roles, anyway. I think I saw a whole interview... I think Lawrence Fishburne had been offered that, but he turned it down. And then I think that's the part. And then it went to Sam Jackson, and it like rocketed Sam Jackson's career, and Lawrence Fishburne's career did not rocket so much.
I mean, Lawrence Fishburne's still pretty big. Okay, so this would have been the year after Pulp Fiction, I guess, according to IMDb. So that makes sense because he definitely was not big at the time he got cast in Pulp Fiction. So. Okay, he's on his way up the ladder, and these movies are the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's moved up from random guy in the background of The Exorcist 3 to now he's in Die Hard 3.
In Coming to America, he was like a mugger or something. I remember that.
I saw a movie called something Love, Sea of Love. Where he was like a criminal that gets arrested at the beginning of that.
Oh, yeah, 1989, Sea of Love. He is credited as Black Guy.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
In 1990, he did a movie called Mo Better Blues, which I never realized that that Simpsons thing was actually referencing an actual movie.
Nice. Simpsons writes episode titles kind of like I do, so.
Yep. Oh. He was in Patriot Games in 92. And 3 episodes of the TV series Ghostwriter, I mean. Man, that was a show.
I do not remember that show.
It was about a little ghost who could only communicate, it looked like a glowy ball, and it could only communicate with these kids through, like, the medium of, like, rearranging letters from books or pieces of paper or whatever, and it helped them solve mysteries.
All right. Sounds like a concept. Anyway, we take a break from the Sam Jackson filmography hour. I mean, Love Slave number 3. What really threw me off about that one was the Love Slave Ewoks. That was just... But before this interaction can get even weirder, Ezri says, hey, how about you just shut up and let me play you this video I brought?
Yeah, it's like, stop making random guesses. It's getting weird.
Yeah. Your imagination is just getting more and more off. The video is a message from Zek, who says, you'll never guess where I am. It's not Ryza, which is a funny moment when Quark is like, Ryza?
Why would it be Ryza? Like, read the situation, Quark.
Right. No, Zek is in the mirror universe. I'm sorry, alternate universe. And then Quark is immediately like, oh, okay, I see what's going on here. Zek goes on to explain that he's being held prisoner by the Regent, and he demands the ransom of 1 cloaking device to be set free. And Zek can think of no better person to help him with that in his vast commercial empire than Quark the bartender.
I think Quark's just conveniently placed.
Sure, I don't know.
Although the whole like this plot hook around which the episode revolves is not valid, because in Through the Looking Glass we see Alliance ships decloaking.
Oh, we do?
Yeah.
I was wondering about that. I was like, well, certainly they would have checked to make sure that there's no cloaks, but...
And then this even notes that in the Enterprise episode In a Mirror Darkly, the ISS Enterprise possesses a Suliban cloaking device over 200 years before this Deep Space Nine episode. So...
Okay.
I mean, you could argue that was lost in the fall of the Terran Empire or something, maybe.
Sure.
Like, the technology.
But yeah, what was the other one where we saw cloaks?
Through the Looking Glass.
Okay, that's a Deep Space Nine episode, right?
That is a Deep Space Nine, yes.
So there's absolutely no excuse. All right. Maybe the Regent didn't know about the cloaking devices. I don't know.
The Regent's like, wait, what? I think maybe that episode was the one that introduced the Regent. Hold on, now I have to go back and look at this one. It's the one where like they come and take Cisco because the other Cisco has died. Or no, hold on. Yeah, and then Cisco has to talk Jennifer into joining the Terran Rebellion. Yeah. Is that the one where they introduced the Regent? Or maybe that's the next one where they introduced the Regent.
All I remember is like the Regent and Garrick and his weird like dog leash or whatever.
Yeah, the dog leash. Hold on, let's search this page real quick. No, the Regent is not in this episode, so I guess that's pre-Regent.
Oh, okay.
Just no one told him that his empire had cloaking technology.
All right, makes sense. Maybe, I don't know. So Dark Ezri says that they have 3 days to deliver the cloaking device, and Quark says, what happens if we don't? And then Dark Ezri says, well, I mean, this is, it's a hostage situation, so, I mean...
Yeah, like, what kind of question is that?
I thought this was the smart universe. Luckily, the wartime security at this key strategic outpost continues to be on par, which is to say non-existent. So Quark and Rom are somehow able to get onto a Klingon bird of prey and steal the cloaking device.
Yeah, it's... Okay, look, let's just get it out of the way up front. There is a lot about this episode that is not just asking you to suspend disbelief, but is just like chucking it out the window. And this is definitely one of those bits where it's just like, oh yeah, we can not only sneak onto a Klingon ship, but steal their cloaking device and walk off with it without anyone noticing our weird walk. Also, the cloaking device can cloak only itself. It doesn't need to be hooked up to any sort of external power supply to do that.
Yeah, makes sense.
Although, it does lead to a fun note in here where it says Renee Echevarria had this idea about stealing a cloaking device. And to pull off the scene, Max Grodenchik and Armin Shimmerman practiced for 3 days trying to make it look like, they were holding this thing between them when they didn't actually have anything. And, they had to keep a constant distance from each other, keep their hands just right. And then in the end, it was like, yeah, that's not working. So the crew was like, we'll have them carry this rectangular transparent filament and then edit it out in post-production. And then it still didn't play right. And so Echevarria is like, oh, why don't we do this thing where it fizzles every once in a while and then you can see it for a second. And that's what ends up in the final episode.
Okay. Well, okay, but how did they do that, though? Like, were they carrying a real cloaking device and then...
It does not say how it was eventually accomplished.
Okay. Because I thought it was some, some really good mime work by the actors, but maybe not. Maybe I gave them too much credit.
Maybe they were just carrying, a green screen thing, and then the cloaking device got edited in. I don't know.
I don't know. So, Rom tries to make sense of what's going on. Rom is somehow remarkably up to speed on the politics of the mirror universe.
Yep.
Correction, alternate universe. He wonders what Dark Ezri, who is a Trill, is doing for the Alliance, but Quark does not care.
No. Well, I mean, he's also weirdly up to date on, apparently Chief O'Brien's like, here, examine these schematics for inter-universe transporters. That's not a secret or anything that we don't show to every single person.
Yeah, that's something we can just mention real quick and then brush aside. But Quark and Rom are interrupted when Captain Sisko and General Martok walk past. They drop the cloaking device and attempt to act natural by staring at the wall. Sisko and Martok are almost around the corner when Martok is like, wait a second.
Yeah.
And they go back to investigate. But fortunately, they seem satisfied with Quark and Rom's incredibly dumb excuse that they're looking for a new color to paint Rom's quarters.
And it's like, we're looking at this color. That's already the color of your quarters. Oh, yeah. Okay.
After that, Martok is like, all right, checks out. See you later.
It's a good comedic moment, but it's just it's so dumb. It makes Sisko and Martok dumb.
Yeah.
And I don't like that, really. It kind of bothers me when it's like, how many times, and maybe it's just that not that long ago I watched the episode where Quark sneaks like the Trill and his Klingon like mercenaries onto the station to steal the Dax symbiont.
Uh-huh.
But it's like, how many times have we found Quark somewhere weird and he has an extremely stupid explanation for why he's there, and everyone goes, all right, checks out, and like lets him get away with whatever weird stuff he's doing.
I think maybe Cisco's just like, you know what? I'll tell Odo about this later. We got other more important stuff to talk about right now.
And it's like, you couldn't, like, Quark, you couldn't pretend to be standing here having a conversation with your brother. You both just chose the technique of staring at the wall as people walk by, hoping they don't notice.
Right. You definitely need some improv classes, guys. Like, so with the threat gone, Quark and Rom hunt around for the invisible cloaking device, which Quark finds by shocking himself on it.
It works well. Yep.
Yeah. They take it to a transporter in a cargo bay where Dark Ezri is waiting. Rom is amazed that Dark Ezri is so much taller than Good Ezri, which Quark disputes.
See, you have another Ezri. What you could have done is as like a, like if you'd had her dress up like normal Ezri and walk through the halls with you, it would have been a lot less suspicious. Everyone would be like, oh, well, there's a Starfleet officer keeping an eye on those two. That's good.
Yeah. I was thinking you were going to say, like, they should, like, throw Dark Ezri in the brig and then have Good Ezri help them infiltrate the Alliance to get Zek back or something.
That seems like a risky plan.
So they ask Ezri how they know the Regent will keep his word, and she says, you don't, you'll just have to hope for the best. And then Rom says, then we better go to make sure he upholds his end of the deal. But Quark isn't sure about this, but then Martok bursts in, threatening to hang them by their ears, and Quark is like, no, not my ears, that's like my genitals. And then he jumps onto the transporter pad, and they beam over.
I didn't think about it exactly that way, but that's true, yeah. How did Martok find them is, I think, the more relevant question. It's not like they have, or does Rom have a comm badge? Maybe he does.
Oh, he probably does. But yeah, so they beam over to alternate Terok Nor.
Which, once again, is nowhere near Deep Space Nine, but you can beam directly from one to the other.
Sure. Rom is disappointed that the cargo bay they beam to looks exactly the same. Shouldn't stuff in the alternate universe be different? Yes, it should, Rom. Yes, it should. Okay,
so this is probably a good point to address some of the notes in here about... Okay, so if I'm reading these notes correctly, Ira Stephen Bear has always just had disdain for the alternate universe concept, or the mirror universe concept, I should say. And this was his opportunity to finally get it out there. So he says, Okay, so first of all, Ira Stephen Bear says, yeah, we did the show because I wanted to get one final Rom Quark wacky adventure in before the ending of the series. And using the mirror universe to do it gave us the chance to present another example of Ferengi having to face adversity and danger, and Quark having to rise above himself a little bit, which I'm not sure that that's a good description of what happens, but whatever. And so he said, we all felt the need, with a small n, to revisit the alternate universe one last time. Let's face it, the alternate universe is such a wacky idea, and I don't care what anyone says. Mirror Mirror was a wacky, silly show, though we tried in many ways to play it straight-faced at first in Deep Space Nine. As time went on, it just became tougher for us not to see it as what it was, which was kind of a rather flaky alternative to what we had been doing. So who better to have than Rom and Quark? Rom is trying to figure out the alternate universe. I just thought Rom stood in for all the fans who want logic and want it to make sense and want it to be taken seriously, something that is inherently not serious. He cracked me up every time he tried to label it or tried to find the definition of it. To me, it spoke a lot about fans and Star Trek, his little arc in the show, and his need for it to make sense in the most obvious way.
Yep.
To really enjoy the alternate universe episodes, you just have to let go. You have to relax your sphincter a little bit and not be so anal about it and just try to have some fun. We all love, obviously, the Intendant, and we just had a lot of fun with the characters. It was not an easy show to do because it's tough to get the tone right. The whole thing was pretty funny.
Good phrasing there, Ira Stephen Bear.
Yeah. And then his final note along those lines in here is that he's happy with how the episode turned out because through Rom, we finally got to question the whole lunatic idea of the mirror universe.
So he's happy with the way it turned out because it was a successfully bad episode about the mirror universe.
I mean, it was an episode that he got to call out all of the things that he's always wanted to call out, I guess. I don't know.
All right.
So that is why Rom is continuously like, wait, why? This doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I did enjoy all that stuff.
Yeah.
But so Dark Ezri says, we better get moving. This place is currently held by the rebels. And speak of the devil, some rebels run into the cargo bay chasing Vic Fontaine, who is not a hologram, apparently.
Yeah. Okay, so in terms of suspension of the disbelief, this is where I draw the line, okay? Vic Fontaine is not a real person who shows up and gets killed in this. This is a bridge too far. Ira Stephen Bear and writers of the episode, no. I say the no.
You've done it. That's the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yes, it is. Although,
I mean, you could come up with some elaborate headcanon that Vic Fontaine was really a guy that Felix, the programmer, knew or something like that.
Not doing it. Nope.
Yeah. I refuse to do this work for you.
So,
Deep Space Nine.
There's one note in here about the Vic's death scene, in that it is the second time James Darren had died on screen, the first being the 1961 film The Guns of Navarone.
Oh, so the second time ever.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know, right?
But yeah, so Vic is dual-wielding phaser pistols, and he yells at alternate Bashir, I'll see you in hell, and then Bashir shoots him dead.
He's really just not good at the job either. Like, while everyone else takes cover, he's just like, I'm going to stand out here in the open and, like, fire at you. Like, he was just asking for it.
So I guess Vic worked with Ezri and Brunt.
Yeah, must have.
I don't know. They never mention him again for the rest of the episode, so we don't know.
Yeah, Brunt's not like, hey, where's Vic? It's just, we're done.
But Rom says, no wonder they call this the alternate universe. Which, no, they don't, Rom. No, they don't. So Bashir and Dark Ezri start engaging in some melodramatic hero versus villain banter. Quark jumps out to defend Dark Ezri and is immediately beaten unconscious with a rifle.
I love how gallant he tries to be. It's like, you don't talk to her like that. And then whack. Like, Quark has never tried to defend a woman like that ever.
That was probably the best that could have turned out for him, so.
I mean, yeah, probably.
I mean, he did stand up for Grilka in the...
Oh, yeah.
True. Klingon, whatever. But, so Quark, Rom, and Dark Ezri are thrown in a holding cell where they are informed by Smiley O'Brien that the cloaking device can't be allowed to fall into Alliance hands. And Alt Bashir is apparently in a cranky mood because Alt Jadzia was apparently killed in battle recently.
What a sad coincidence.
Yeah, it's like, you lost Jadzia and met Ezri too? What a coincidence.
I mean, it's just... This is how the mirror universe perpetuates its weird, always being strangely close to the actual universe.
Yeah, there's some kind of a cosmic force guiding what's going on here or something. I don't know. Alt Bashir calls Dark Ezri a traitor, but Smiley corrects that you have to be loyal to something before you can betray it.
I mean, she works for money.
Yeah, all Dark Ezri cares about is money.
Well, and, okay, apparently you guys still owe her from the last time she worked for you. So I don't feel like if you're going to welch on your debts like that, you can blame her for going to the opposition as long as the opposition is actually paying.
This is a good point. Smiley wants to send Quark and Rom back to the non-alternate universe to get a taste of that famous Cisco boot.
Everyone is worried about the Cisco boot. Yep.
Its fame spans universes. But they say, no, we have to get Zek back. Where this sudden extreme loyalty to the Nagus comes from, I don't know. Maybe they just don't want Brunt to become Nagus.
Oh, yeah, they shouldn't want that. But it really gets called out later when she's like, oh, he's really rich, so what are you expecting to get out of this? And Quark's like, yeah, nothing.
Nothing. Smiley says, well, you can go try to rescue Zek, but you're going to have to do it without the cloaking device, because that's ours now. And that doesn't sound like a very safe thing to do. And Ezri concurs. She's like, no, I would not recommend trying to do that.
And since everyone who knows anything about this universe is agreeing that this would be a really dumb idea, that is, of course, what they're going to do.
Right. Well, I mean, they're going to get the cloaking device back in a second anyway, but...
That's fair, yeah.
Yeah, meanwhile on the Regent's ship, Zek is having a good time getting his ears umoxed by Intendant Kira?
Because we just can't do an episode without her.
Yeah, who's also being imprisoned by the Regent. Although she still gets to wear her Intendant outfit, and we later learn she's not actually being imprisoned, so I think she just likes being in here or something.
Yeah, I don't know how widely known it is that she's kind of not a prisoner, because Garrick certainly thinks she is.
It's absolutely pointless to keep this a secret, but...
Yeah, except to mess with Garrick.
This is the mirror universe, and they do dumb stuff like this all the time, so who knows?
So I love, there's a note in here that the Intendant is the only mirror universe character to appear in all 5 Deep Space Nine episodes that deal with that universe.
Wow.
Probably, the big cutoff is that one episode that takes place completely in our universe and only has 2 characters who cross over from the other one. But there are 2 regular our universe characters who also appear in all 5 episodes. So can you think of who those 2 characters are?
So they appear in the episode. They don't necessarily have to appear...
Right. They don't have to cross over or whatever, but...
All right, so Dax is out.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that they don't have to be in the mirror universe kind of makes it hard, so...
Yeah, it does, because it could just be, like, right at the end or beginning of the episode or something. Yeah.
So I know we didn't see regular Kira in this episode.
Nope.
We saw regular Odo. We saw regular Bashir, although I don't think he had any lines.
No, he was in the background hanging out.
And we saw regular Cisco.
Oh yeah, Worf is still AWOL, I guess.
Yeah. And of course we have Quark. So I'm going to guess it's Bashir and Odo.
It is, in fact, Odo and Cisco.
Ah, okay.
Not Jake Sisko. As we've established, Sirach Lofton is not in this episode. But
right.
Regular O'Brien also does not appear in this episode, only his Mirror Universe counterpart.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, the intent... So, I don't know what the point of this ruse is, but the Intendant is acting like she will also go free if the Regent gets the cloaking device.
I mean, she does.
I guess true. And Zek says, if Quark and Rom don't screw it up... And did he even say anything about Rom coming along? I mean... I went back and watched, and he did not say anything about, like, bring Rom with you. So I guess he just assumed Rom would be along for the trip.
Well, I mean, I don't think that he assumed either of them would actually come in person, since that didn't seem to be alternate Ezri's plan. So maybe he just assumed that Quark would use Rom to help him get the cloaking device and hand it over to, Ezri.
Yeah, maybe. But the suggestion that the plan might not work angers Kira, who grabs Zek's ear, and he's like, ow, my genitals! And then Mayhardu makes a token effort to defend the Nagus, but is quickly put in his place by the Intendant, calling into serious question, Mayhardu's bodyguard skills.
Yeah, I don't know that we've ever actually seen him doing much actual guarding, so...
Yeah.
He's gotten soft, has Mayhardu, maybe.
Yep.
If he was ever not soft.
Yeah. But Zek says, no, it's cool. Quark and Rom will pull through, and Intendant Kira is like, okay, and then goes back to doing ear stuff to the Nagus.
Which would seem weird if we weren't long experienced with her mood swings.
Right, no. Intendant Kira is on character this episode. Back on Terok Nor, Dark Ezri asks why they're going through all this for the Nagus. And then this is the part where she's like, is it because he's super rich and will reward you greatly? And Quark is like, no, historically that has not worked out well. We just gotta do it. We're Ferengi. And then Rom has a realization. If this is an alternate universe, how come Smiley O'Brien is just as nice as regular O'Brien?
Yeah. Honestly, the way, when you mentioned that just now, it made me think, man, this should have been our Return of the Magnificent Ferengi episode. Like, they should have gotten the band back together to go and rescue Zek.
Oh, man. Imagine if we had, like, what was his name, Lek with us?
Yeah, Lek.
Oh, that would have been great. But Quark is like, yeah, who cares? This place sucks. And then there's some phaser fire, and a Ferengi man runs in with a phaser rifle. It's Brunt, but everything's alternate, so this is nice Brunt. He's apparently in league with Dark Ezri, so he turns off the force field to the holding cell by shooting it.
That's how you do it, yeah.
Apparently he's already stolen back the cloaking device and loaded it onto their ship.
This guy's good.
And he made delicious fried tube grubs for everyone.
Which I don't know if we've ever seen cooked tube grubs before.
Well, they it sounds like they're good, so I don't know.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, Quark should bring this dish back. This is the real moneymaker out of the, like, relationship with the alternate universe.
That's a scene that we didn't see, is like, they're like, oh, before we go back, we gotta look for Brunt's recipe for those tube grubs. Quark is worried about the tube grubs being poisoned, though, but Rom is like, oh, he's alternate, so he's nice. But then Rom thinks, wait, wouldn't a nice person in the alternate universe actually poison the tube grubs? But that doesn't stop him from accepting seconds, and then also having Quarks.
I mean, it does for like a second, and then he's like, nah, never mind. I'll take him.
Yeah, too yummy.
There's a note from Jeffrey Combs on his playing of Mirror Brunt, where he goes, our Brunt is just out and out tenacious, mischievous, and mean. So for the Mirror Brunt, I just decided to be in a good mood. He was this guy who's willing to help out in a pinch, and he's not out to hurt anybody.
I mean, Nice Brunt is like the most effective character in this episode.
He's really good at everything, yeah.
And I guess technically this would be the fourth character that Jeffrey Combs plays on Deep Space Nine.
In a way, yeah.
But Ezri and Rom are feeling sleepy and go off to take a nap. This leaves Quark and Nice Brunt to talk, and Brunt admits he hates the Alliance, but he's helping Ezri because she's his best friend, although he wishes it was more than that. But I'm not her type, and you're not either, says Nice Brunt cryptically. She has particular tastes in men.
Yeah, I don't... That's what he phrases it in a weird way, where it's like, he's not saying she's only interested in women. He's like, oh, she likes men. It's just a very specific subset of men, and I'm unclear on what that means by the end of the episode.
She has particular tastes in them, in that she does not like them.
Okay.
But on the bridge of the Regent's ship, the Regent, who I will remind you is Worf, try some of Zek's beetle snuff, but no word if it's Hyperion, though, so...
Probably.
Yeah, but he does really enjoy it.
Yeah, I love he's like, my sinuses are clear for the first time in years. It's like, wow, dude, you've got some issues.
Garrick is there too, ever the obsequious lackey. He's like, great, yes, beetle snuff. By the way, when we get the cloaking device, can we kill the Intendant? And the Regent is like, let's get the cloaking device first, then worry about that. But then lame Garrick is like, okay, but we can, right? And the Regent is like, maybe. He just mumbles like, meh.
So, the Regent's presence here, while other Worf is off doing insurrection, makes me wonder if there's some, like, equivalent to insurrection happening in the Mirror Universe.
Huh. Could be. But I'm sure, like, Picard and all them are evil, so...
Yeah, no, maybe just the Sona have showed up and they're trying to take over the Baku planet, or maybe the Sona are nice and the Baku are mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I think Captain Picard and crew are trying to take over the Baku planet, and the Sona are trying to defend them or something. And it's called Star Trek Oppression.
Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah, I'd watch that.
We need more movies entirely in the Mirror Universe.
I mean, that's what they did with the, like, 2-part Enterprise episode. Like, there is no crossover between the regular universe and the Mirror Universe. It is just an entirely Mirror Universe story. Well, I say that. It turns out that, like, a ship that disappeared in an episode of the original series showed up in that other universe, and it's important to the plot of what's going on, but there's not, like, people crossing over.
So Brunt and Ezri's ship arrives at the Regent's ship, and Quark suddenly realizes that once they give the Regent the cloaking device, he has absolutely no reason to uphold his end of the bargain. But Ezri seems pretty sure the Regent won't kill them, at least, because he never kills people he thinks of as useful.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, so, I get, it's true, the Regent has no reason to keep them alive, right? But, like, wouldn't it be smarter to, when you make a deal that is very profitable for you, be like, okay, well, I'll live up to my end, and then because all it costs me is not murdering you. And then maybe later, I'll want something else. And now we have some good faith built up so that we can make a deal. Like, it just seems...
Right.
It just seems needlessly a burning of bridges, basically, to be like, yeah, go ahead and murder them.
Right. But up on the Regent's bridge, the Regent tries on some new gloves, which he tests out by punching a random dude in the face. And he seems satisfied with the result.
Isn't that how you test out your gloves?
Yeah, I don't know of another way. Then Lame Garrick walks in and announces the arrival of the cloaking device. And when Rom sees who the Regent is, he's amazed, marveling at what an incredible and also dumb coincidence this is. Quark is like, okay, so you got the cloaking device, give us the Nagus now. But the Regent goes full Fidel Castro and is like, give you what Nagus? Then Intendant Kira walks in, goes right up to Dark Ezri, and smooches her on the lips. For you see, Dark Ezri and the Intendant are evil lesbians.
Or, yeah.
Uh-oh, says Rom. The bloggers are going to have some things to say about this. Oh, also, Dark Ezri betrayed us for no real reason that I can
For no reason in particular. Yeah, well, I mean, to get her girlfriend out, I guess. But, like, how did these two meet? I don't. Anyway, so there's a note in here that says, like the episode Rejoined, this episode has a kiss between two women. Nana Visitor, not particularly enamored of the scene, stating, I never intended for the Intendant to be bisexual. I think that was an assumption that everybody, including the writers, made after the character fell for Kira in Crossover. But that had been like total narcissism on her part. It had nothing to do with sexuality.
I don't know. I felt like she was pretty bisexual coded the whole time, but...
I mean, she feels just very pansexual to me. Like, whatever she's into in the moment, that's what's happening.
Yeah, so I guess this is our second same-sex kiss on the show. Just as tasteful and thought-provoking as the first one we saw. You decide. So the Regent is like, yep, the Intendant was working with me the whole time. I just put her in their brig because she likes being there or something. Anyway, take Quark and Rom away and kill them. And he's like, no, wait, actually don't kill them yet. And Lame Garrick is like, oh, come on, can't we kill anyone?
I'm getting like killing blue balls.
Right. So Quark and Rom get thrown in the brig with Zek and Mayhardu. Zek begs Rom not to tell on Moogie about his indiscretions with the Intendant, which I don't think Rom would have even found out about if
he
Zek didn't bring them up himself. Yeah. Although I don't think Moogie would be too shocked to learn what happened, so... Then Zek reveals how he got into the alternate universe. You see, the last time Rom was visiting Moogie, he left a pad laying around that conveniently had schematics for a universe-hopping device on it. Which, come on, Rom, before you leave your seat, Control-Alt-Delete.
No, they don't have that on pads in the future because we just trust people.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is the goody-goody Federation, but...
But not, because he's a Ferengi.
Yeah, don't take that to Ferenginar, then.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, apparently O'Brien gave it to Rom to study for some reason. Anyway.
You never know when you might need one of these.
Yeah. Zek stole it and came here to seek out new trade opportunities, and the rest is history. Meanwhile, Nice Brunt is upset with Ezri at her betrayal. We can't do this to Quark and Rom. I really like those guys, Brunt says amusingly.
It's like, they're the only ones who enjoy my fried tube rubs. You never like them.
Yep. Yeah, but he's like, I mean, we, like you said, we gain absolutely nothing by going back on our word. In fact, it makes it harder for us to do business with in the future. Then the Intendant Sexy walks in and is like, no, we are evil lesbians. We love being evil and deceitful. Also, I stab you now. And then Nice Brunt joins non-hologram Vic Fontaine in hell.
I mean, she may as well have just been like, I stab you now. Because, yeah, it's just how she does. And it makes a note in here that Brunt continues the theme of a Ferengi dying every time that we visit the mirror universe.
Yep. Then the Intendant rushes over and gives Dark Ezri a big hug, and while being hugged, Dark Ezri just stares like, okay, maybe I've made an error in judgment here.
I have chosen poorly.
Uh,
And then there's the moment where she's like, "Oh, and yeah, will you get rid of that? It bothers me or whatever about the corpse."
yeah, Esri's like, no. Up on the bridge, report comes in that the Regent's ship is being pursued by the Defiant. Hell yeah, says the Regent. Time to test out this new cloaking device. Lame Garrick is like, well, hold off. It turns out alien technology from another universe is hard to install. You should have asked for a manual, too.
It uses Windows 9, and we're on Windows 5 still, so
Right.
it's causing some problems. Like, actually, the mirror universe uses Windows ME, and so that's why they all hate so much.
It drives them all to evil.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's really the compatibility is just not there. And I love that no one considered, or the Regent did not consider. It's like, let's use my new cloaking device. And Garrick's like, well, it doesn't work yet because we have never seen something like this and don't know what we're doing. And he's like, crap. How unexpected.
But Dark Esri is like, well, maybe Rom can hook it up. And the Regent is like, well, go get him. So she goes down to the brig. Quark is skeptical about helping set up the cloaking device, but Rom and Zek don't want to die, so Rom goes with her. But Quark can't come with, because he's just a bartender and Rom's not thirsty.
I love that they 100% call out. It's like, no, you stay here, you would be useless. Like, in other episodes, you might see them, the character convince them that there's a reason they need to go along on this sort of thing, but here there's like, no, we're not stupid. You would be of no help.
We're not stupid in this one particular area. So Rom gets to work hooking up the cloaking device. He asks Lame Garrick for an isodyne coupler, but Garrick hands him a not isodyne coupler, so Rom chews him out. I guess trying out some alternateness for himself or something.
Honestly, one of my favorite moments in the episode is like, does this look like an isodyne coupler? And he's like, hey, watch your mouth. And Rom's like, or what? You're not gonna let me install your cloaking device? Like,
right.
You have nothing to threaten me with.
So I'm literally the only person in the entire universe who knows how to do this.
Yeah.
Which leads to a pretty funny reaction from Garrick.
Garrick's just like, he has no idea what to say.
And, getting dressed down by Rom is probably not a good day for anybody.
No, it's not your best look.
Yeah. So, Intendant Kira whispers a suggestion in the Regent's ear, which apparently the Regent finds intriguing. The Intendant assures him most men find it very stimulating, so I can only imagine we're talking about some kind of pegging situation here.
I mean, that honestly was also what occurred to me this watch through.
I mean, I don't know how else to interpret it, honestly, but the Regent is all about it, even going so far as to consider giving the Intendant back Terok Nor for it, so this is going to be some pretty epic pegging, I guess. And then Rom butts in is like, okay, whatever weird thing you're doing, the cloaking device is ready. So they activate the cloaking device, and the Regent is like, well, now we really have no reason to keep the Ferengi alive, so I guess let's kill them now. Wow, what a shocking betrayal again, says Rom.
Curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal.
And Rom says he's really starting to hate this universe. I mean, he hasn't made up his mind, but he's definitely leaning in the negative direction now.
Yeah, he's getting there.
He's starting to form an opinion. So Lame Garrick takes him to the brig and shows the prisoners a hypospray full of 10 cc's of ulcardic virus, an unnecessarily slow and painful execution method that raises your body temperature until your internal organs literally boil. Lame Garrick asks who wants to go first, and then I like that Zek looks around like, Rom, you up?
Yeah. They all kind of glance at each other like, I don't know if it's like, are you going to volunteer? Or if it's more like, is he serious? And apparently he's completely serious, because even after, the scene goes for a while and there's some back and forth, and then after things calm back down, Garrick's like, okay, well, who's first? Right. I seriously need someone to answer this question before we can start.
Well, he does this whole show of well, okay, I will pick. And then he starts doing an eeny, meeny, miny, mo or something. It's like, are you what's the the dog that's stuck between the food bowl and the water bowl or whatever. Like, but then Quark is like, man, you are so much lamer than regular Garrick. This is the worst interrogation ever.
Just call him out.
Yeah, lame Garrick is like, what? No, this isn't an interrogation. I want to kill you and get back to the bridge in time to see the Defiant blow up.
And I was like, why aren't you interrogating us?
Yeah. Zek is like, how are you ever going to find out what we know if you don't interrogate us? And then lame Garrick is confused, but keeps playing along anyway for some reason as the Ferengi play mind games with him. And then I like the detail that Garrick gets especially confused about if real Garrick is an assassin or a tailor.
And then it's the great line where, like, Zek, who doesn't even know Garrick, as far as I recall, is the one who says both, I think. Well, like, Quark and Rom each say one of the two. Like, Rom thinks he's a tailor, and Quark thinks he's, like, assassin or whatever, and the Negus is just like, oh, both, for sure. I don't know the guy, but yeah.
Yeah, this is why Zek is the Negus. Back on the Alt Defiant, Captain Smiley is like, hey, where's the Regent's ship? Wait, they didn't hook up that cloaking device yet, did they? And Bashir's like, nah, no way.
Yeah, he's like, almost certainly not.
Meanwhile, on the totally cloaked Regent ship, following right behind the Defiant, the Regent watches the Defiant on the view screen and says, wow, they have no idea we're coming up right behind them. And that's exactly what I want it to be like tonight when we do the thing, Intendant Kira. But the Regent orders them to drop the cloak, which they do, but then when they try to fire, all the power goes out. Down in the brig, the force field to the holding cell goes out, and Rom is like, haha, sabotage! And they all rush lame Garrick. But lame Garrick manages to pin down Quark and is about to inject him with the organ-boiling virus. But he monologues too long, and he has no idea Dark Ezri is coming up right behind him. And she grabs the virus and injects lame Garrick with it, and he's like, ow, my internal organs!
And then, like, dies immediately, despite the fact that it's supposed to be slow, and... Yeah, whatever.
Whatever.
There's a thing in here about Andrew Robinson is like, I was so happy about Garrick's death. I never liked alternate universe shows because that Garrick was just a stupid bad guy. The thing that's great about our Garrick is that he has subtext. There's a lot going on beneath the surface, and if you don't pay attention, then you're in trouble because he's got you. But the mirror Garrick has no subtext. He's just a toady opportunist.
Yep. This whole, like, the Regent, everybody is just dumb.
The fact that Mirror Garrick lived as long as he did is frankly amazing, so...
Yeah. But Quark asks Ezri how much money she wants for saving them, but she's like, no charge, I'm on a good guy arc or something, so it's a freebie.
Also, they established in the crossover episode that they don't have Latinum in the Mirror universe, because Kira tells Mirror Quark, like, I don't have any gold pressed Latinum, and Quark's like, gold what now? So, I don't know what they would have paid her with.
Mirror universe money, I don't know. Latinum pressed gold. So, meanwhile, on the bridge of the Defiant, Alt Bashir figures out that the power is out on the Regent's ship, so they fly around shooting it up, and then they call the Regent, who surrenders quite un-Klingonly.
Yeah, he really doesn't even hesitate. He's like, okay, fine, what are your terms? And they're like, our terms are give up. And he's like, all right then.
I guess he does not feel that today would be a good day to die.
No, and I mean, his ship is a lot bigger than the Defiant. I'm like, you must have way more guys. You could be like, yeah, go ahead and board me, and then you could, like, fight them. But no, he just totally is like, okay, yeah, we give up.
While the Regent rants about those treacherous Ferengi and then rips his chair off the floor, the Intendant slips off the bridge.
Smart.
Yeah. She runs into Dark Ezri and the Ferengi and Mayhardu in the corridor. And the Intendant is like, come on, Dark Ezri, let's get to an escape shuttle. But Dark Ezri is like, no, I no longer wish to be evil lesbians with you. Go by yourself. And Quark is like, you're really going to let her get away? And Dark Ezri says, I owe her that much. I mean, she will come up behind you, and you'll have no idea.
It's like, she taught me so much.
Yeah. Zek also wants to let her go because he finds her intriguing or something. And Quark is like, okay, whatever. So they all go back to Terok Nor, where the Regent is marched in as a prisoner while everybody cheers. And Zek says, man, what an awesome universe. I can't wait to come back here and open up trade relations. And then Quark goes to Dark Ezri and is like, so now that you're no longer an evil lesbian, maybe we can hang out and stuff? And Dark Ezri is like, no.
Pass.
And then someone shows up to take Dark Ezri to her debrief. It's alternate Lita. And Ram is like, hey, I know you. You're my wife. And alternate Lita is like, I don't think so.
Yeah, just like laughs in his face.
For you see, I am also a lesbian. And then she and Ezri go off to, quote, debrief.
I mean, sure. I think we haven't seen Lita in forever. Is it just me, or like have we really not?
Didn't we just see her in the Nog
limping
you're right.
Kane
you're
episode? Right. Yep. I'd totally forgotten about that. So yeah, it was just me. Okay.
So, you're watching too many episodes out of order now.
Yeah, that's the thing.
But yeah, so Zek is like, man, so many lesbians. I love this place.
Yeah, we gotta come back here.
Quark and Ram are like, screw this, let's go home. So they go home, and Martok is there waiting for them with ear-hanging hooks in hand. And Quark is like, oh crap, I forgot about that. The end.
We didn't get back the cloaking device.
That cloaking device is still in the hands of the mirror universe, so...
our people from our universe really do just keep shifting the balance of power over there.
Uh-huh.
Okay, other notes I have. Shimmerman was pleased with the episode, commenting, that particular episode was an ensemble piece. Quark and Rom were on a mission, but Ezri was prominent there as well. Everybody got a chance in some way to strut their stuff in one last acknowledgement of the Mirror Universe people. It was a fun episode. Meanwhile, Nicole DeBoer had a blast. Afterwards, she said, can I play this character all the time? Lewis Race points out, Nicole's performance gave me a real appreciation of her skill as an actress. She wasn't just playing cute in leather. She became a more sinister, driven, and hard-edged character.
All right.
So, people were fond of this episode and getting to play things. I think this is the first time we get to see Ezri, or Nicole, I should say, just play something different with her character, because we've had several episodes, Mirror Universe, but also otherwise, where the main cast gets to play around, play sort of a different thing.
Sure.
I think this is her first chance to do one of those. So
yeah,
but that is all the notes I have. So
all right, so review time. How would you rate The Emperor's New Cloak?
All right, so we've established through many seasons now that I'm not a fan of the Mirror Universe conceptually. I think it's dumb and lazy and many other negative adjectives. I had to go back while we were talking and look up how I rated all of the previous Mirror Universe episodes. We've had 4 other Mirror Universe episodes. And so, let's see. Crossover, I gave a Lieutenant Junior grade and you gave a Commander. Through the Looking Glass, I gave a Lieutenant Junior grade and you gave a Lieutenant Commander. Shattered Mirror, I actually gave a Lieutenant and you gave a Lieutenant Junior grade. And then Resurrection, we both gave a Lieutenant. So you started out pretty up on the Mirror Universe and then had come down a little bit over the seasons. I was always right around the same spot. And I gotta say,
I'm surprised I gave Resurrection even a Lieutenant.
It's not. You weren't a big fan of it.
I don't have fond memories of that episode.
Yeah. Of all the Mirror Universe ones, this may be one that I like more. Maybe just because Ezri has some fun. Maybe it's because,
sure,
in a way, Ira Steven Behr is right. This is the concept is ridiculous. So maybe making it into a comedy is the only way to make it work. The problem being that I still don't think it works. And if anything, he was. Ira Steven Behr also says, oh yeah, you got to loosen your sphincter and not be one of those anal Star Trek fans who wants everything to make sense and fit together. Well, I'm sorry, ISB, I am one of those fans who wants the things to make sense and wants the canon to canon. So just deciding, because it'll be a fun episode, that they don't have cloaking devices after all, and then basing an episode around that, and also throwing Vic Fontaine in there as a real living person who gets shot and killed just because it'll be a funny scene. I don't like any of it. None of it makes sense. They're pushing, like I said at the beginning, we're pushing suspension of disbelief just too far. We're chucking it out the window. There's no way. I can't suspend it anymore. You've pushed me beyond my limit with this episode. So honestly, I think it would probably be an ensign, if not for the fact that it gives me some laughs. And as we've also previously established, I love Ezri, and Nicole DeBoer gets to do some good stuff in here. And like even just the scene of her like going into Quark's quarters, and it's like she just comes in, she didn't even introduce herself or anything. She just walks right in and like knifes him or pulls a knife on him or whatever. And it's fun. So she and some of the comedy brings it up for me to some degree. It's not nearly enough to pull it over the line into Lieutenant Commander territory. But if I'm comparing it to like Resurrection, which I gave a lieutenant, or Shattered Mirror, which I gave a lieutenant, this is probably at least on par with those. So I'm just going to continue my trend of going full lieutenant with this.
All right. Yeah, I think I'm right on the razor's edge here of the line, because as apparently they intended, this spotlights and leans into all the dumbest aspects of the mirror universe. Just like dumb coincidences and like this feeling that like there's only 10 people in the entire galaxy. Like incredibly dumb people, especially like the Regent and lame Garrick. I mean, I don't know if I'm just like on board for the ride, like if I'm ready to unclench my sphincter or not. Like maybe if they put a warning before the episode that was like, loosen sphincter now or something. But I mean, all the positive things you mentioned are pretty good. Like, I mean, Dark Ezri is fun, I guess. I mean, I think mainly just the comedy beats are so consistently, and they land like so consistently. And it's definitely not a dull episode, whatever its problems are. So
true.
It's hard. It's very intellectually unsatisfying, I guess, but also the chuckles keep coming, so I'm going to put it just barely over that line into Lieutenant Commander.
All right.
So, just because, I mean, we have Zek, we have Garrick, even if he's lame Garrick. We have some Martok. I was surprised just how many, like, of our favorite guest stars are in this episode for no real purpose, but...
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really say much about it, but Wallace Shawn, we've established, does always, like, raise the level of the episode.
Oh, yeah. He's, like, I loved it when, like, he was on his, like, video message or whatever. He's like, tell your mother I love her, and then he does this really, like, funny, like, bye thing. I was like... just all the choices he makes are always delightful, so...
It's true.
But we're kind of running along on this one, so you have any final thoughts?
I'm glad that, spoiler, we are done with the mirror universe now. I have no problem leaving that behind us.
Nice. So, what a strange adventure it was, but it's finally over. But yeah, that's our discussion of The Emperor's New Cloak. Thanks for listening. If you like that one, maybe you'll like our discussion of The Magnificent Ferengi. What a fun episode.
Yeah.
Which you can find wherever you're listening to this. And if you want to leave us a comment, you can do that on our YouTube channel. My name is Fletcher. About to say goodbye is Data.
Word.
We look forward to seeing you next week on Undeclared Bajor. But remember, stay alternate.